Hello, I'm Marika of the Singapore Screamers. How are we doing? Alright, so this week, we are up against one of the GOATs, the best of the best, the one and only Lols. Will we be able to live up to our creed of being SSS ranked battlers? It all hinges on our ability to maneuver ourselves in this high-octane match against this heavy-hitting Sun team. Now at first blush, I absolutely abhor this matchup. Like utility Clefable with Magic Guard really invalidates a lot of my options, like Toxapex for example. Taco can really disrupt my team with Yawn, the Oxus Speed can set hazards and help my ability to switch it in, and the speed tiers on their side with 180 and 150 from the Oxus Speed and Electrum respectively really make it hard for me to make any progress. Make it hard for me to outspeed them and then have a clear path of victory. Especially in the Sun, where Venusaur will be twice as fast. And speaking of the Sun, I don't think I even need to mention about the raw power that Gouging Fire, Walking Wake, and Venusaur will have. So, we're going to bring in our heavy hitters. This week, starting off our week 3 team, we have Scarf Spectra speeding into week 3. It's EV to barely outspeed max speed Venusaur and Sun, and also allows me to say fuck you to the Deoxys. Psychic actually allows me to do a big amount of damage to a non-Terra Venusaur, and Shadow Ball just hits everything for good damage, and as Lols doesn't really have like a normal type or a great Ghost Resist. Hex is a more powerful version of Shadow Ball that I can use if my other party members are able to get off their status. With Grimday, I'm looking for a Spectra endgame which just cleans up and just wins. We also run Haste Spectra just in case we deal with a Combine Stalk power set with Clefable, just as a precaution. Now, to deal against the big three of Lols' team, like Gouging Fire, Walking Wake, and Venusaur, we have our 3 Guardians. The first of the 3 Guardians is made to tank hits from Walking Wake. To switch it against Wake, we have Toxapex, and Toxapex is EV to be specially defensive, so we can consistently switch into Wake in the Sun, unless of course it specs. But even with that, Regenerator has our back. Recover is also here to help us get back some healing, and Infestation does good chip and traps opponents in with Toxapex. Baneful gives the ability to do more chip with poison, potentially. Baneful gives me the ability to do more chip, and it's just nice to have. Mudshot is for the circumstance of Toxapex being in with Gouging Fire using D-Duns. So we can keep it slow enough that Spectra can outspeed it with Choice Scarf, and if it's low enough, Spectra can just come in afterwards, hit a Shadow Ball, get a Grim Day boost, and boom, we can start snowballing from there. Sugar Berry on Toxapex actually helps somewhat with Venusaur and Gouging Fire, though really it's really more of a stopgap response. Terra Poison helps us get rid of our water type in case of Electrode, but I don't really like the idea of terrestrializing Toxapex here, but it's just always an option. Now the second one of our great Guardians is made to deal against Gouging Fire. Yeah, Gouging Fire. Mudsdale is here to block out the Sun with its Stomping Tantrums. Mudsdale is thick. He can potentially eat a +1 Flablets under the Sun, even with Photosynthesis boost. Potentially, of course, it's a roll. Because of how light my team generally is, and because of how Flablets actually does recall to Gouging Fire, I'm making the prediction that Lols will capitalize on this and use Heat Crash instead of Flablets. In which case, because of Mudsdale's high defense and its high weight, Mudsdale can always switch in on a Heat Crash, even at +1 or +2 even. With Stamina, we can continue eating hits, and with Rest as a consistent healing option, and Sleep Talk to mitigate that sleep status, we can always stay healthy against Gouging Fire. Now we are running Stomping Tantrum, because if we get a bad roll with Sleep Talk, let's say Sleep Talk and we roll Rest, then Stomping Tantrum will be twice as strong, which is amazing. Now, we run Heavy Slam over Body Press here, because we do fear Unaware Clef. Heavy Slam always gives us an option to chunk Clefable for a big amount of damage, about 50% to 70% I believe, and we are also pretty heavy, so we do good damage. I think Body Press here is more circumstantial than and less consistent. And while I do think that Body Press will make our matchup against Corviknight, which is a Pokemon that this team does struggle with, Body Press will make our matchup against Corviknight a little bit better. But I do think that Corviknight is quite outstretched here. It's quite stretched out here. It has to deal with a lot of the threats of my team, and I think eventually it can get picked off by our members eventually through a longer attrition game. So I'm thinking that Heavy Slam is just better in general here. Yeah. So the final member of our Great Guardians is none other than Heatran. Now this week instead of Flame Body, it's running Flash Fire, so that it can switch in on Fire type moves like Weather Ball in the Sun or Heat Crash from Gouging Fire. Air Balloon also helps us switch in on Ground type moves. This is actually a Heatran which can also serve as a sort of stopgap answer against Gouging Fire, though it doesn't really do much damage back to Gouging Fire, about 50-ish, yeah. Heatran's amazing typing also gives it immunity to Poison, which helps me switch into Sludge Bombs, potentially, and also quad resist Grass type moves. In the Sun, Lava Plume can one-hit KO Venusaur, and if Venusaur decides to Terra, we have Flash Cannon and Earth Power respectively, Flash Cannon and Earth Power to deal against Fairies and Fire respectively. Though I'm not exactly confident on Heatran being able to squeeze out a win against Venusaur 1v1, but you know, Heatran's the GOAT. He's the chariot which moves this team forward, and I trust my boy. He's going to be the star of the team. Next, we have our utility option, our mascot, our saving grace. Give it up for Screamtail. Now right now, I think that our team has responses to the threats in front of us. Not really checks per se, because well, if those threats decide to go out of hand, let's say we have a +3 Gouging Fire or something like that, we're not going to be able to like deal with that too well. Scream is here to support with that in every single way. T-Wave can cripple anything that decides to take the T-Wave to the face, like Venusaur or Walking Wake. This also opens up Hex Spectra. Light Screen also helps our team against Wake, because we don't actually hit Wake back offensively that much. So if Wake decides to run the Covert Cloak, or Wake just doesn't take a lot of chip damage, or it's going to be a battle of who can survive 1,000 paper cuts more. It's a battle of attrition. And we need every bit of help we can get. And I think that's why Dazzling Gleam is over here, so we can also do a bit of chip damage to Walking Wake wherever we can. Wish is for emergency healing should we ever need it. And we run Mental Herb for the scenario where we get taunted by Deoxys Speed, so we can T-Wave it down, make it slow, and now instead of Deoxys Speed, it's Deoxys Slow. Last but not least is our secondary Wing Gun. There's no Dark types on Lol's team, so Chimecho will go crazy with a Sword Power set. Let's see. Cosmic Power allows it to take hits that it shouldn't be able to once Gouging Fire is gone. At +2, it just takes hits, eats them, and recovers them off. Snot Power does an insane amount of damage to everything that isn't Corviknight, and Charge Beam with Terra Electric helps us gain more firepower that we need to win the game, potentially. Chime for President, y'all. Now that's our team for this week. Hopefully, we'll do better than last week. We'll bounce back from last week's L and get a W. Special thanks to Frog Force 4, namely DJ, for all of the mocks. 108 turn battle is something that I probably won't forget anytime soon. DJ also suggested a lot of the ideas that we see on this team, for example, Chimecho. Sky also helped me realize the danger of Walking Wake and Deoxys Speed, which led me to think of a few sets on this team. Also special thanks to Umbreon, who has inspired some changes with their input during a VC. Thank you all. I hope that we'll be able to prove ourselves as SSS rank battlers this week. Only time will tell, and we'll see you in the battle.